even at a really young age, like let's say 7, I knew something was wrong and I thought something was wrong with me. So I just thought that if I didn't exist, everything would be fine. Before commencing, a word from the editor. This is Sans Versus editor, and she has just one request to ask all of you, and it's a really small request. I hope you will hear it out. As the community grows, we want you guys to be kind to each other and also kind to me and her. I hope it's not too much to ask. Thank you. Enjoy the video. Hi everyone, this is Sans Verse, and I'm still terrible at doing intros. This one is going to be kind of a personal story, and I find it daunting to share on the internet, but it's relieving at the same time because I'm like showing all of myself, sharing something very personal with my channel. One of my favorite YouTubers, Heinz, says that the highest form of nutrition is expression. In order to make myself more nutritionized, what is the word? That is why I feel compelled to express this, but there would be some trigger warnings because it's not a happy story. It's like the story of my childhood. Some domestic violence or abuse and some sad thoughts are involved in it, so please watch it at your own discretion. The reason for sharing this story is to illustrate how one opportunity can completely transform your life, and no matter how bad the circumstances are, you can create opportunities for yourself that can change your life and also come out of those negative situations, and that we have the power to create such opportunities for ourselves, and that will be more clear as you hear my story. I was born to Indian parents who were just really busy people, and they were really young when they had gotten married, and because theirs was an arranged marriage, honestly they didn't even like each other that much. When I was 7, our family of 4, my parents, my older sister and me, we moved from a small city called Nagpur to outskirts of Mumbai, a city called Thane, where I grew up, where I spent most of my childhood and teenage years living not such a happy life until I escaped my house at the age of 19, and by escape I mean going abroad to study in South Korea under a scholarship. My parents are not bad people, but for sure they were really incompatible with each other. And what's worse is they were not ready to see the incompatibility in their relationship. You can just imagine what being a child of a loveless marriage would be like. There was a lot of negative energy in the house. It was not good. They argued a lot. They fought a lot. Mostly it was verbal. I used to think that it was after my father got drunk, but it was because of his personality and it was because of their incompatibility. And now I know these words, but back then I just didn't know what it was. And I just wish that they would get a divorce, but you know how it is in India. It is not easy to get a divorce, and they would never be ready to do anything like that. Sometimes it got physical, but it was not so bad that we would be on an episode of Crime Patrol. To give you an example of what it was like, if you remember the movie Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na, the guy, the main character, he dates another girl who is not the main character. He goes to meet that girl's parents.
अरे भाई, एक ड्रिंक तो दुश्मन के साथ पीते हैं। तुम भी तो मेरे को 10 साल से प्रॉमिस कर रही हो कि एक दिन तुम्हारे सर में दर्द नहीं होगा। एक दिन, हाँ, मैं अभी तक मानता हूँ। फिर
And the parents are like just bickering back and forth, and there's like a really weird environment.
जवानी के दिन याद आ गए जब तुम भी ऐसे ही प्यार दिखाती थी मेरे को। लव इज फॉर द यंग। 25 साल की शादी के बाद तो एक दूसरे को झेल पाए वही बात।
और अगर झेल न सके तो इग्नोर करना सीख ही लेना चाहिए, क्यों महेश?
Oh God, it was so cute.
That's what my parents' relationship was like. Imagine growing up with people like that. Although they did provide for us, me and my sister, food, clothes, place to live, but there was no love. My elder sister is 3 years older than me, and she never seemed affected by all the dysfunction going on in our family, like the alcoholism, the violence, the narcissistic codependent pattern. I was really affected by it, but till this day my parents don't acknowledge that they had done something wrong or that something was wrong with their lifestyle. Because of that, I still have a negative relationship with them. I've never said this out loud, but even at a really young age, like let's say 7, I knew something was wrong, and I thought something was wrong with me. So I just thought that if I didn't exist, everything would be fine. But as I grew up a bit, I realized that life is meaningful and life is worth living, and I am here for a reason. I just thought I don't want to end my life because of such horrible people in my life. I'm gonna escape and I'm going to be successful on my own. I used books, movies, TV shows, spirituality, a lot of self-help books to cope with my depression and the inner turmoil that comes with having parents who don't really know how to love you. Even if they do love you, the very first time I had the desire to study abroad, I was 16 years old, and that was because when I had just started 11th grade, as an extracurricular activity, I enrolled into Japanese classes, and that was like a tuition run out of an auntie's house, completely unrelated to school. I had seen a few Indian students who had gone to Japan as exchange students, and I wanted to be like that. Not just going as an exchange student, but I wanted to study abroad. And honestly, even though I've said so many negative things about my parents, which is all true, but I have to give them the credit for taking care of us academically. Whenever I wanted extra classes, they always paid for it, which is a big thing because as a middle class family and only my mom's business as the main source of income, we were always short on money, but somehow they always managed to pay for me and my sister's education. So I was really thankful for that. Back then, instead of being mad at them for creating an environment of emotional neglect, I always felt guilty and indebted to them, as if I owe them a lot because they paid for my education. When I was in high school, I didn't have a proper plan about how I would go to study abroad. There were other people around me who were preparing for SATs because they were sure about wanting to study in US, UK, or Australia. I know that they are expensive, there's no scholarships. I just didn't know how anything would work out. I gave up on that even though I was a good student. So without any proper plan about what I'm gonna do after high school finishes, purely because of peer pressure, the people who are not gonna go to study abroad, everyone else was preparing for JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. So I followed in that path because my parents were not suddenly going to somehow afford the fees of going to US even if I applied or even if I got it. Anyone who has prepared for JEE Mains or JEE Advanced knows that just with board exam preparation, you cannot even solve those questions because the difficulty level and the techniques required for problem solving is completely different from board exams. I decided that after 12th grade, I'm gonna take a drop year, enroll into Fiji, study for JEE Mains and Advanced from the beginning, something I should have done in 11th grade. So that one drop year of studying physics, chemistry, and maths was one of the most stressful years of my life in terms of emotional well-being. It was just deteriorating so much. I was suicidal and depressed the whole time, and there were so many moments I would be like, okay, I'm just giving up now. In the end, I did pass JEE Mains. I did give the exam, JEE Advanced, but if your rank is not high enough, you cannot get into an IIT. So after all that was done, finally, I did not get into any engineering college. So this is what happens when you don't really plan your life properly. After I failed the advanced exam, I enrolled into St. Xaviers, Mumbai. Xaviers was actually the worst year of my life. The drop year was the most stressful, but Xaviers was actually the worst year of my life. And that was when my obsession with spirituality and depression and wanting to heal myself and all that just got worse and worse. I just had to accept the reality. What is causing this dysfunction in me is living in that house with those people. Every day when I would come back from college, I would just stay on the computer for hours and hours trying to find a scholarship to study abroad. I found out about scholarships provided by Korean universities. I know about EWA, I know about Korean Government Scholarship Program, KGSP, and a scholarship by KAIST. I applied to EWA and KGSP first. So finally, KGSP, which is called GKS Global Korean Scholarship now, that was the scholarship that I received, and that was the opportunity that completely transformed my life. What I want to emphasize on is it was all just manifestation because I needed it. I needed this to happen for me. I had a really bad relationship with my parents. I needed to get out of there, and so I think that is why I got it. This is purely because of wishing, praying for it, and manifesting it into my life and getting it. Looking back, this opportunity, getting a scholarship to study abroad in South Korea, was even better and more in alignment with my higher purpose than the one that I was preparing for. As I was editing this video, I just thought of a few other techniques that I used while I was desiring this opportunity. The number one was genuinely wanting with all my heart. I knew that this is something that is for me, so I wanted it more than anything I've ever wanted ever. Next was feeling grateful for it as if I already had it. When I was commuting back and forth from college, I would do this visualization of feeling grateful while listening to K-pop music, and I felt happy for what is in store for me in the future. And then finally, I took some action steps under the assumption that I had already gotten the scholarship. In my case, that was I dropped out of Xaviers even before I got the scholarship. It was for multiple reasons because I couldn't stand going to Xaviers anymore. I would stay at home and study Korean as if I had already received the scholarship. In summary, I just want to say that visualizing something that you really want helps a lot, but be careful what you wish for because you might just get it for real.